reality. Right now, the vast majority of our resources are obviously carbon-based. Our healthcare system is grossly inefficient. It's not really a healthcare system, it's a disease treatment system incentivized to have as much disease as humanly possible, because the more disease there is, the more money we can all make. We can go down the list of all these things, it's fabulous. Right now, there's a massive gap, an expanding gap between what's possible and what's reality. Should I move this out more? Can you guys see it? Sorry. There we go. Now we're going to have some fun. There's a unique characteristic to this moment in time. Normally, the rate of change of what's possible in the history of the world is very slow. And reality is determined on a generation by generation basis. So typically for reality to change, a given generation of power has to die, the next generation comes in, and it takes, and so the rate of change for reality is actually getting slower because people are living longer, while the rate of change what's getting is going faster because of technology. So we're going to have a way to cross this gap, right? And what this gap right now is fear, right? This is where fear is bred and lives, individually and collectively, right? And so and this is why people come to this, the Zeitgeist movement. Guy makes a movie called Zeitgeist, says we need to start a movement. All of a sudden, there's all these chapters all over the world. Why is that? Well, because the rate of change of what's possible is faster than it's ever been. The rate of change in reality is slower than it's ever been. The gap is bigger than it's ever been, and the fear level is really high. So there's an incredibly large population of people that are desperately searching for something to do with their use of their time that can be beneficial to solving this problem. Some of us have a lot of influence to do that. Some of us have a little bit of influence to do that. But when you come to the realization that a linear solution, even the most profound group of most powerful people who are the most highly trained Marines in the world building these cities on a linear solution, they don't stand a chance. So you need an asymmetrical solution, which is ultimately in the myth. Because the myth is the only thing that can change the harmonic or the vibration. So when you look at a billion people, how do you get a billion people to change immediately? Not through a linear, you can't go from one to the next person and be like, listen, look at this fucking greenhouse, do this awesome. Do this thing, get tomatoes, it's great. You don't need any solar panels, you got solar paint now, you don't need to do this. Next door, How many we got to? We got 10,000. That's awesome. How many left? 999 million left. I'm tired. Doesn't work. Doesn't work. It's too many people, and we don't have enough time to go door to door trying to address, because this is going slower and this is going faster. And the wider this spread gets, the scarier it gets. And the worst part is compounding. Remember, the projection is the reflection. So the more we're thinking fearful thoughts and experiencing fearful behavior, the more we're projecting out. The media is coming back to like, oh, you want to be afraid? I'll show you afraid. Right? And I can tell you, having been internal, so let's just go to Boston for 1 second. And is there a time limit? Because I'll go all night. So with Boston, everybody looks at like, look at this, CNN's a bunch of idiots, Fox, and I'll put you on the other side of the ledger. That week was the most economically beneficial week. That was better than the Super Bowl. Everybody was scared shitless. And even if they weren't, they were just thrilled to watch the reality show by the million as to whether they were going to get the Chechens, or whoever they were, it's like the thing. So there's no rational resolution to that, right? But as the myth changes, the question is, how do you change the power myths? Just to kind of get to my point. I'm sorry, I think I'll go on that. My ultimate conclusion, and I think I got you there, is that the only way to change a billion people to the new paradigm is to change the power myths. And the question is, how do you change a power myth? All a myth really is a story, right? A story of one person or one group of people is, once that story is retold to one other person, it becomes a myth. When it's told to a lot of people, it becomes a widely held myth. When it becomes a big enough myth, then the harmonic of that power totally affects the moment-to-moment thoughts and decisions of the population. And all of a sudden these cities are popping up everywhere, and it seems that nobody, why are these cities popping up everywhere? Mike's not building them. He's out, you know, in the woods with his shorts. Thanks for wearing your shorts, by the way. Appreciate that. We're in an era where the ability to tell stories is at an all-time high. What I'm focusing my time on, and what I would share with you as an option for those of you who are concerned about the fate of the world in the context of this narrative, is to first and foremost make your story a story of solution and love with people that you agree with. Bearing in mind that 99% of the people on the earth in every country in the world are fearful, narcissistic, and insane. Trying to convince that population, wherever that population is, to not be that way is like going door to door trying to convince people that the Marines should be building greenhouses. When you find the 1% in your world that vibrate where you either are vibrating or would like to vibrate, spend more time with those people. And that simple act is more profoundly impactful, I think, than anybody will ever really understand, probably at least in our generation, until we get to the other 95% of our consciousness, which is as yet not fully explored. The last thing that I'll say on myths and power, and this is sort of where the soldiers come in. When you think about myths and power, it's always best to meet the audience where they already are. So in other words, it is easier to take an existing myth and meet the audience where they are with that myth, and then take them on a journey with that story or that hero, than it is to invent a new myth that you wish everybody would believe in, but they're just not there.